"Tell me about yourself," he said after they ordered. "Beyond the resume. There's not much to tell. I'm 58. Recently separated. 3 adult children who have their own lives. A husband who," she stopped. "An ex-husband who forgot I existed. His loss. Everyone keeps saying that. But it doesn't feel like his loss. It feels like mine. 35 years. Gone. Wasted. 35 years. Gone. Wasted. Have you ever felt that way? Like you gave everything and lost yourself in the process? This is Margaret's story. But it might also be yours. Or your mother's. Or your best friend's. It's a story about being invisible. About waking up one day and realizing you've disappeared. And about finding the courage to start over when everyone says it's too late. Subscribe now because this story is going to change something in you. I promise. Let me take you back to the night Margaret Hayes stopped being invisible. Margaret Hayes stared at her reflection in the restaurant bathroom mirror and didn't recognize the woman looking back. 58 years old. Still beautiful, people said. Elegant. Well-preserved. As if she were a museum piece. Something to be admired from a distance, but never truly seen. She'd been sitting alone at their table for 45 minutes now. The anniversary table. 35 years of marriage. The waiter kept refilling her wine glass with pitying glances. Other couples whispered. She could feel their sympathy like a weight. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Richard. Deal running long. So sorry. Tomorrow night for sure. Love you. Love you. 2 words he typed without thinking. Without feeling. Without even remembering what day it was. Margaret looked at herself again. Really looked. When had the light gone out of her eyes? When had she started disappearing? Margaret returned to their table. Ordered the most expensive bottle of wine on the menu. Drank it alone while couples around her celebrated. Anniversaries. Engagements. First dates full of promise. She remembered her first date with Richard. She'd been 21. Art history major at Columbia. Dreams of curating at the Met someday. He'd been 23. Business major. Ambitious. Charming. He'd looked at her like she was the only person in the room. When was the last time he'd looked at her at all? The waiter brought the check. $800 for a meal she'd eaten alone. She paid it. Tipped well. The waiter deserved something for watching her humiliation. In the taxi home, Margaret made a decision. Not a rash one. Not an emotional one. A decision that had been building for years. Maybe decades. She was done. The house was dark when she arrived. Of course it was. Richard wouldn't be home for hours. Maybe not until tomorrow morning. He'd sleep on the office couch again. Send her a text apologizing. She'd say it was fine. Because that's what she always said. It was fine. Everything was fine. Except nothing was fine. Nothing had been fine for so long she'd forgotten what fine actually felt like. Margaret walked through the house they'd bought 30 years ago. For bedrooms for the 3 children they'd raised. Her children, really. Richard had been present for birthdays and graduations. The big moments. But the everyday? The scraped knees and failed tests and broken hearts and midnight fevers? That had been her. She'd given up her master's program when she got pregnant with Emma. Just for a year, she'd said. Until the baby's older. Emma was 33 now. Margaret never went back. She'd given up the assistant curator position at a small gallery when Richard got his promotion. We need to move to Connecticut, he'd said. Better schools. More space. You understand. She'd understood. She always understood. She'd given up painting when the kids were teenagers. Too messy, Richard had complained. And the smell gives me headaches. She'd given up her friends when Richard's career demanded more entertaining. We need to network, Margaret. These dinners are important. She'd given up pieces of herself, year after year, until there was almost nothing left. Almost. Margaret went to their bedroom. Pulled out the suitcase from the closet. The one she'd bought for the trip to Paris Richard kept promising. Next year, he'd say. When things slow down at work. Things never slowed down at work. She packed methodically. Not everything. Just what mattered. Clothes. Her mother's jewelry. The sketchbook she'd hidden in her nightstand for 20 years. Empty pages. Dreams deferred. She went to the kitchen. Poured herself a glass of water. Took off her wedding ring. The ring Richard had spent 2 months' salary on when they were young and poor and in love. Back when he'd notice things like her favorite flowers. When he'd leave notes in her textbooks. When he'd cancel meetings to watch her present her thesis. When had he stopped seeing her? She set the ring on the counter. Wrote a single sentence on the notepad by the phone. I'm done waiting. Then Margaret Hayes walked out of her marriage. 3 days passed before Richard noticed she was gone. Margaret spent those 3 days in a hotel room, staring at her phone, waiting for it to ring, waiting for Richard to notice, to panic, to care. The phone stayed silent. Their daughter Emma called on day 2. Mom, are you okay? Dad keeps asking if I've heard from you. I told him to call you himself like a normal person. I'm fine, honey. Where are you? Starting over. At 58? Especially at 58. Emma was quiet. Then, good for you, Mom. It's about damn time. Margaret cried after they hung up. Relief. Terror. Grief. Hope. Everything at once. On day 4, Richard finally called. Where are you? I've been worried sick. Liar. If he'd been worried, he would have called sooner. I left, Margaret said. Left? What do you mean left? I mean I'm not coming back. Silence. Then, don't be ridiculous. We've been married for 35 years. And you forgot our anniversary to close a business deal. More silence. She could actually hear him calculating. Trying to remember. Failing. Margaret, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you. You've been saying that for decades, Richard. I'm done accepting apologies for things that never change. Where are you? Let's talk about this face to face. No. You can't just leave a marriage. I already did. She hung up. Turned off her phone. Ordered room service. Ate chocolate cake for dinner because Richard thought dessert was wasteful. On day 5, Margaret found an apartment. Small. 1 bedroom. View of the city instead of Connecticut suburbs. She signed the lease using her maiden name. Margaret Chin. It felt like being born again. On day 6, she went to her storage unit. The one Richard didn't know about. The one where she'd kept her art supplies. Her paintings from college. The portfolio she'd put together for the Met all those years ago. She sat on the concrete floor and cried, looking at the woman she used to be. The dreams she'd abandoned. Not abandoned, she said aloud. Deferred. There's a difference. On day 7, Margaret Chin started applying for jobs. Jin-Woo Park had owned the Moonlight Gallery in Manhattan for 15 years. It was his legitimate business. The respectable front for his less respectable operations. But it was also his passion. Art was honest in a way people weren't. A painting couldn't lie about what it was. It either moved you or it didn't. He was interviewing for a curator position when Margaret walked in. She wore a simple black dress. Professional. But it was her eyes that caught his attention. Sad. Determined. Alive in a way that suggested she'd been dead for a long time. Mrs. Hayes, he said, standing. His English was perfect, just a slight Korean accent. Ms. Chun, she corrected. I went back to my maiden name. Forgive me. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Please sit. She did. Confident despite the nervousness he could see in her hands. He looked at her resume. Master's degree in art history from Columbia. Top of her class. Then nothing. 35 years of blank space. Impressive education, he said. But no work history. Why? Margaret met his eyes. I was married. I raised 3 children. I supported my husband's career. I gave up mine. And now I'm done giving up things. Something in her voice resonated with him. The sound of a person reclaiming themselves. Tell me about art, he said. What does it mean to you? She didn't hesitate. Art is proof that someone was here. That they felt something. That they mattered. Every brushstroke is an act of defiance against being forgotten. Jin-Woo felt something shift in his chest. His wife had said something similar before cancer took her 5 years ago. The job is yours, he said. You haven't interviewed anyone else. I don't need to. Margaret blinked. Why? Because you just told me everything I need to know. You understand that art isn't about beauty or value. It's about being seen. He stood, extended his hand. When can you start? Tomorrow, she said, shaking his hand. Her grip was firm. Decisive. Tomorrow then, Miss Chun. After she left, Jin-Woo stood at his window, looking out at the city. He'd hired her because she was qualified. But that wasn't the only reason. He'd hired her because when she talked about being forgotten, he understood. He knew what it felt like to be invisible to the person who should see you most. Margaret's first day at the gallery was overwhelming. Jin-Woo's collection was extensive. Paintings from Korea, Japan, China. European masters. Contemporary pieces worth millions. This is the Cheongsakrong, Jin-Woo said, gesturing to a landscape painting. Korean. Joseon Dynasty. Do you know it? Margaret stepped closer. Studied the brushwork. The composition. It's beautiful. But it's a fake. Jin-Woo's eyebrow rose. Excuse me? A very good fake. But the pigments are wrong for the period. And the signature, see how the brush lifted here? The original artist would have completed the stroke. This forger hesitated. Jin-Woo stared at her. Then at the painting. Then back at her. I paid $2 million for that painting. Then someone saw you coming. I'm sorry. He laughed. Actually laughed. A real laugh, not the polite sounds he made at business dinners. Don't apologize for being right. That's a terrible habit. He pulled out his phone, made a call in rapid Korean. Then turned back to her. You just saved me from looking like a fool. Thank you. That's what you hired me for. No. I hired you to cure it. You just proved you're worth 10 times what I'm paying you. Margaret felt something she hadn't felt in decades. Pride. Not pride in her children's accomplishments or Richard's promotions. Pride in herself. There are 3 more pieces I want to examine, she said. I noticed some inconsistencies. Please. Show me. They spent the next 3 hours going through the collection. Margaret found 2 more fakes and several pieces with questionable provenance. Jin-Woo took notes. Asked questions. Listened. Really listened. Richard had stopped listening to her somewhere around year 10 of their marriage. When the gallery closed, Jin-Woo said, Have dinner with me. Margaret froze. I don't think. To discuss the collection. I want to know everything you found today. And I need your expertise on a new acquisition. That's what tomorrow is for. Tomorrow I have meetings. Tonight I have time. And I'm hungry. So are you, I imagine. Margaret was hungry. She was always hungry these days. Hungry for conversation. For intellectual stimulation. For being treated like her thoughts mattered. Just dinner, she said. Just dinner, he agreed. But they both knew it wasn't just dinner. The restaurant Jin-Woo chose was intimate. Small. The kind of place where people went to really talk, not to be seen. Tell me about yourself, he said after they ordered. Beyond the resume. There's not much to tell. I'm 58. Recently separated. 3 adult children who have their own lives. A husband who, she stopped. An ex-husband who forgot I existed. His loss. Everyone keeps saying that. But it doesn't feel like his loss. It feels like mine. 35 years. Gone. Wasted. Not wasted. Invested. In your children. In building a life. That has value. Value I gave away instead of keeping for myself. Jin-Woo was quiet for a moment. Then, my wife died 5 years ago. Cancer. We had 20 years together. Not enough. Never enough. But toward the end, she said something I didn't understand until now. What did she say? She said she was grateful we'd lived in the same direction. That we'd seen each other every day of those 20 years. Not just looked at each other. Saw. He met Margaret's eyes. Your husband looked at you for 35 years but never saw you. That's his tragedy. But you survived being invisible. That's your strength. Margaret felt tears burning. I don't feel strong. I feel like I wasted my life. Then don't waste another day. You have time. Not infinite time. None of us do. But time. Use it. I don't even know who I am anymore. Then find out. I'll help if you want. As a friend. As an employer. As whatever you need. Why? Because I remember what it felt like to be seen by someone who mattered. My wife gave me that gift. Maybe I can give it to you. They talked until the restaurant closed. About art. About loss. About starting over. About being middle-aged and terrified and hopeful. When Jin-Woo drove her home, he walked her to her door. Thank you, Margaret said. For tonight. For listening. For seeing me. It's impossible not to see you, Margaret. That's your ex-husband's failure, not your flaw. After he left, Margaret stood in her tiny apartment and cried. Not sad tears. Grateful tears. For the first time in 35 years, someone had seen her. And she was starting to see herself again, too. Weeks passed. Margaret threw herself into work. She reorganized the entire collection. Created a digital catalog. Vetted new acquisitions. Built relationships with dealers and auction houses. Jin-Woo watched her blossom. The sad woman from the interview was disappearing. Being replaced by someone confident. Radiant. Alive. He found himself making excuses to be at the gallery when she was there. What do you think of this piece? He'd ask, showing her potential acquisitions. Come to this auction with me. I need your eye. Stay late. Help me with inventory. She saw through his excuses. But she didn't mind. Because she was making excuses too. I should review this catalog tonight. At the gallery. where the lighting is better. I need to research this artist. Late. When it's quiet. Can you show me how the security system works? Just in case. They were dancing around something neither wanted to name. One evening, working late, Jin-Woo brought dinner. Thai food. Her favorite. He'd remembered from a comment she'd made weeks ago. Richard had never remembered her favorite anything. You didn't have to do this, Margaret said. I wanted to. We both need to eat. Efficiency. Efficiency. She smiled. Is that what we're calling this? What should we call it? Margaret looked at him. Really looked. He was handsome. 52. Silver at his temples. Laugh lines around his eyes. A face that had lived. I don't know what to call it. I just know I like it. I like it too. They ate in comfortable silence. Then Jin-Woo said, Your husband. Has he tried to contact you? Constantly. Calls. Texts. Emails. He wants to talk. To fix things. Do you want to fix things? I don't know if there's anything left to fix. Or if there was anything there to break in the first place. Margaret set down her chopsticks. Can I ask you something personal? Anything. What do you do? Really do? I know the gallery isn't your only business. Jin-Woo was quiet. Most people didn't ask directly. They pretended not to know. Not to see. I'm involved in things that aren't entirely legal. Gambling. Protection. Some smuggling. Nothing that harms innocence. But not things a good man does. Are you a good man? No. But I try to be better than my father was. Better than my business requires. Does that bother you? Margaret considered. It should. But I spent 35 years with a good man who forgot my birthday, my anniversary, my existence. Good didn't make me happy. So maybe I don't care about good anymore. Maybe I care about real. I'm very real, Margaret. Dangerously real. Good. I'm tired of pretending. Jin-Woo moved closer. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm 58 years old and I've been half alive for decades. I'm saying I'm terrified. I'm saying I don't know what I'm doing. But I know I feel more alive sitting here with you than I have in 35 years of marriage. You're still married. Legally. Not in any way that matters. Margaret, I know this is insane. I know you're my employer. I know you're dangerous. I know I should run. She met his eyes. I don't want to run. I'm done running from life. Jin-Woo cupped her face. Gentle. Like she was something precious. You deserve better than me. Stop telling me what I deserve. Let me decide. Then decide. Because once I kiss you, I won't want to stop. Once I have you, I won't want to let you go. Then don't let go. He kissed her. It was nothing like kissing Richard. Richard's kisses had become routine. Perfunctory. Mechanical. Jin-Woo kissed her like she was air and he was drowning. Like she mattered. Like she was seen. When they finally pulled apart, they were both shaking. This is complicated, Margaret whispered. Yes. We work together. Yes. I'm technically still married. Yes. And you're a criminal. Yes. This is a terrible idea. The worst, he agreed. I don't care. Neither do I. He kissed her again. And Margaret felt something she hadn't felt in decades. Hope. Richard showed up at the gallery on a Thursday afternoon. Margaret was cataloging a new acquisition when she heard his voice at the front desk. I'm here to see Margaret Hayes. I'm her husband. Her heart sank. She'd known this was coming. Had dreaded it. Jin-Woo appeared at her office door. There's a man asking for you. Shall I send him away? No. I should talk to him. Are you sure? No. But it has to happen eventually. Jin-Woo studied her. I'll be right outside if you need me. Jin-Woo. Right outside. Call if you need anything. Richard walked into her office looking terrible. Tired. Older. Desperate. Margaret. Finally. Hello, Richard. You look good. Different. But good. Thank you. Awkward silence. I've been trying to reach you for months, Richard said. I know. Why won't you talk to me? Because we've said everything there is to say. Actually, we never said anything. That was the problem. Richard sat down without being invited. Old habit. Assuming space was his. I know I messed up. I know I took you for granted. But we can fix this. Couples therapy. More time together. I'll retire early. We'll travel. Everything you wanted. Everything I wanted 30 years ago, Richard. Not now. So that's it? 35 years and you just walk away. I didn't walk away. I woke up. There's a difference. I love you. The words hung in the air. Margaret waited for them to mean something. They didn't. You love the idea of me. The wife who made your life comfortable, who raised your children, who smiled at your business dinners. You don't love me. You never knew me well enough to love me. That's not fair. Fair. Margaret's voice rose. You want to talk about fair? What's fair about giving up my career? My dreams? My identity? What's fair about becoming so invisible my own husband forgets my existence for days? I said I was sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 35 years, Richard. He was quiet. Then, is there someone else? Margaret hesitated. Yes. His face crumpled. Who? Does it matter? Of course it matters. How long has this been going on? It doesn't matter. This isn't about him. It's about us. About how there's been no us for decades. I want to meet him. I deserve. You deserve nothing. Jin-Woo's voice from the doorway. Cold. Deadly. You had 35 years. You wasted them. She owes you nothing. Richard stood. Faced Jin-Woo. Realized immediately he was outmatched. Not just physically. In every way that mattered. You're the gallery owner, Richard said. I am. She works for you. She does. This is inappropriate. Your opinion is noted and dismissed. Jin-Woo moved to stand beside Margaret. Not in front of her. Beside her. Equal. Margaret asked you politely to leave her alone. I'm asking less politely. Go. You can't talk to me like that. I just did. And I'll do worse if you don't leave. Now. Richard looked at Margaret. You're choosing a criminal over me? I'm choosing myself. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing myself. Jin-Woo is part of that choice. But it starts with me. After everything I gave you. You gave me nothing. I gave you everything. My youth. My dreams. My identity. I gave until there was almost nothing left. And you never even noticed. Margaret. Goodbye, Richard. My lawyer will contact you about the divorce. Divorce? Did you think I was coming back? After all this? We're married. That means something. It should. But it didn't. Not to you. Not when it mattered. Margaret stood. Walked to the door. Opened it. Please leave. I have work to do. Richard looked between them. Saw the way Jin-Woo stood beside her. The way she leaned slightly toward him. The way they existed in the same space like they belonged together. I love you, Richard said one more time. No, Margaret said gently. You loved having me. There's a difference. And I finally learned it. After Richard left, Margaret collapsed into her chair. Shaking. Jin-Woo knelt beside her. Took her hands. Are you all right? No. Yes. I don't know. She looked at him. Was I too harsh? You were honest. Finally. I feel terrible. Good. That means you're human. Not cruel. Just human. What if I made a mistake? What if? Do you love him? I don't think I ever did. Not really. I loved who I thought he was. Who I needed him to be. But the real him? The man who forgot our anniversary? Who chose work over me for 35 years. No. I don't love that man. Then you made no mistake. Margaret squeezed his hands. What are we doing, Jin-Woo? This is insane. I'm 58. You're my boss. This is complicated and messy, Anne. And I don't care. Do you? I should care. But do you? No. I don't care. I should. But I don't. Then we're both crazy together. She laughed through her tears. That's the worst basis for a relationship I've ever heard. Or the best. We're too old for pretending. Too old for safe. Too old for anything except real. I'm terrified. So am I. But I'm more terrified of wasting whatever time I have left pretending to be less than I am. Of not taking chances. Of safety instead of life. You're very wise for a criminal. I'm a criminal because I'm wise. I know that rules don't always make sense. That sometimes you have to break them to live. Margaret kissed him. Right there in her office. Not caring who might see. For the first time in 35 years, she was choosing herself. And choosing life. And choosing love that saw her. 6 months later, Margaret stood in her new apartment. The one Jin-Woo had helped her find. Bigger than her first place. Windows overlooking the city. A studio space for painting. She'd started painting again. The canvases leaning against the walls showed a woman finding herself. Bold colors. Strong lines. No more timid strokes. Jin-Woo had insisted on hanging her work in the gallery. Not because I love you. Because you're talented. Don't confuse the two. She'd sold 3 pieces in the first week. The divorce from Richard was finalized. He'd fought it initially. Then given up when he realized she was truly gone. His lawyer said he seemed broken. Margaret felt sorry for him. but not sorry enough to go back. Their children were supportive. Shocked, but supportive. Emma had actually said, "Thank God, Mom. I was starting to think you were a saint. This is much better." Jin-Woo was at a business meeting. Margaret was expecting him for dinner. She was cooking for him. Real cooking. The kind she'd loved before Richard declared he preferred simple meals. The doorbell rang early. She opened it, expecting Jin-Woo. Richard stood there. "Before you close the door," he said quickly, "I just want to say one thing. Then I'll leave. I promise." Margaret sighed. "One thing. Then you leave. I understand now. What I lost. Who you were. What I did to you." His voice cracked. "I see you now, Margaret. Really see you. The woman I was too stupid to see before. And I'm sorry. Not sorry in a way that expects forgiveness. Just sorry. You deserved better. You deserved to be seen. And I was too blind and selfish and stupid to see the extraordinary woman I married." Margaret felt tears sting. "Thank you. For saying that. For finally seeing. Is it too late?" "Yes. I was afraid of that." He smiled sadly. "He's good to you?" "This Jin-Woo. He sees me. Every day. Every moment. He sees me. Then he's a better man than I was. Richard, I hope you're happy. I mean that. I hope you paint and laugh and live. I hope you have everything I was too stupid to give you." He left before she could respond. Margaret closed the door. Cried. Not for Richard. Not for their marriage. But for the time lost. The years she'd been invisible. But also for the future. The time she'd reclaimed. Jin-Woo arrived an hour later. Found her on the couch, eyes red. "What happened?" She told him. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Yes. No. Both." She looked at him. "Is it terrible that I feel sorry for him?" "It's human. You're not cruel, Margaret. You're just finally taking care of yourself. He said he sees me now. Now. After you left. After you rebuilt yourself. That's not seeing you. That's mourning what he lost. There's a difference. You always see the difference. Between things that look similar but aren't. That's what being in love does. It makes you see clearly. Your ex-husband never loved you. Not really. He loved convenience. I love you. The real you. The woman who talks about art like it's oxygen. Who paints with her entire body. Who laughs at my terrible jokes. Who's terrified but brave anyway. I love you too. Is that crazy? At 58? After one failed marriage. It's the sanest thing either of us has done. What happens now? Now we live. Really live. Not half alive. Not invisible. Fully, completely alive. I'm scared. So am I. But I'm more scared of wasting time. Of playing it safe. Of being less than we are." Margaret kissed him. Deep. Real. Full of promise. "Marry me," Jin-Woo said suddenly. "What?" "Marry me. Not because you need to. Not because it's expected. But because you want to. Because we want to build something together. I'm 58. You're 52. People will talk. Let them. I don't care what people think. I care what you think. I think yes. 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 I want to marry you. I want to wake up and be seen. Every day. For however many days we have." He kissed her. Slipped a ring on her finger. A simple band. Elegant. Perfect. "I bought this 3 months ago," he admitted. "Been waiting for the right moment. This is the right moment. Any moment with you is the right moment." "You're sure?" "No doubts. I've had 35 years of doubts. Of wondering if I mattered. Of being invisible. I'm done with doubts. I'm choosing certainty. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing me." 1 year later, Margaret stood in the Moonlight Gallery at the opening of her first solo exhibition. 59 years old. First solo show. Dreams deferred but not destroyed. The paintings told her story. A woman finding herself. Bold strokes. Vibrant colors. Life after invisibility. Richard showed up. She'd sent him an invitation. Not to rub his face in her success. But because he'd been part of her journey. The part where she learned what she didn't want. "They're extraordinary," he told her. "Thank you. I'm sorry. For all of it. For not seeing this in you. For making you believe you had to choose between art and family. For Richard. Stop. You did what you did. I forgave you. Not for you. For me. So I could move forward without anger. Are you happy?" She looked across the gallery. Jin-Woo was talking to a potential buyer. He caught her eye. Smiled. That smile that said, "I see you." "Yes. I'm happy. For the first time in decades, I'm happy." Then I'm glad. Even though it kills me, I'm glad. Find someone who sees you, Richard. Really sees you. Learn to see them back. It's not too late for you either. After he left, Jin-Woo joined her. Wrapped his arm around her waist. You okay? Perfect. He seemed sad. He is. But that's not my burden anymore. I carried it long enough. You're remarkable. You know that. I'm starting to believe it. They stood together, watching people admire her work. Her art, her voice, her proof that she existed, that she mattered. Margaret had started over at 58. She'd rebuilt herself from pieces she thought were gone forever. She'd learned that it's never too late, that invisible isn't permanent, that seeing yourself is the first step to being seen. She'd learned that love isn't about time. It's about attention, presence, seeing. And most importantly, she'd learned that the best time to start over is now. Always now. Because life doesn't wait for perfect timing. And neither should you. Margaret started over at 58. She reclaimed her art. She found love that sees her. She chose herself. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to be seen. It's never too late to choose yourself. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late. And remember, you are not invisible. You matter. You always mattered.